Where is this family going story? I am very new here. Been dealing with a lot of emotions for the past few days. So, here's the scenario. My wife is having an affair. I haven't eaten in 3 days. She is staying at a hotel tonight 5 minutes from his house. He is married with at least one kid. She denies having sex with him, but the situation looks different to me. We have been married for 2 years 9 months. She says that she never should have gotten married, and that I should have never asked. Wife has depression. Went off meds a few years ago before we got married because she lost her job. Started them back again 3 weeks ago. Tells me that she kissed this guy sometime before Christmas, but it hasn't gone past that. Blames me for not trying, not listening, keeping her from getting help for depression. Sexless relationship for the most part. My grandmother passed. I had to leave town during the big freeze. She says OM is coming over to the house to turn the water off to the outside spigot since I am not home. I tell her I don't like the idea of a strange man I don't know coming to our house while I'm not home. She says it's nothing and I am being silly. Came home to a semi-clean house. She says it is because she wanted me to come home to a clean house. We had plans to go out Saturday to see a movie and get dinner. Sat arrives and she says she doesn't feel like it. Tuesday she was acting weird, hiding her phone and keeping it close to her, which she never does. I ask about it. She says it is just OM from work. I ask if I should be concerned. She ignores the question. Later, I ask again, tell her that I have been cheated on before, which she knew about, and that I'm not an idiot about her behavior. Something was going on that she was trying to hide. It was then that she said they kissed sometime before Christmas. They go out to lunch together at work. They had discussed what their actions would cause. I ask about what happened when he came over. She says they just had a beer and watched TV, which explains the rushed cleaning job. She says she is going to start sleeping downstairs. Sleeps alone downstairs on Tuesday night. Wednesday we discuss what we are going to do. I suggest I see an MC. She says she doesn't want to do MC until she gets herself sorted out. She says she wants it to work, but then says she should have never gotten married. It wasn't for her. She suggested an open marriage. I told her absolutely not. She says she will be staying in a hotel the next night because she needs time alone to think. I ask her not to. She does it anyway. I ask her to text me to let me know she was okay. Then in a moment of fear, panic, weakness, I asked her if she was with him. She never responded. I check the bank account and see the hotel she is staying at is right down the road from his house. It is moderately priced and she is normally very thrifty, so location had to play a part in it. I wanted us to get better. I wanted our marriage to work. But with the developments of today, with her staying in a hotel near this guy's house, I don't think I can be that person. I am not strong enough to deal with the trust issues. I have been cheated on before by a long-term GF and that almost killed me. I am doubting our whole marriage. I am looking into separation, divorce procedures. Scheduled for IC tomorrow. Going to try to find a lawyer that isn't going to bankrupt me with fees. Surprisingly enough, making an asset list has sort of calmed me down, because it has occupied my mind. I have no idea what to do. Sorry, this is probably a jumbled mess. I'm just very discombobulated right now. Comments. Sorry you are in your current situation, but the journey you are referring to could be a completely different journey. I am currently on one and it's the journey to restoration. It sounds as if you are still in love with your wife, so ultimately you can make the decision to be sold out for your marriage, fight for it and do whatever it takes to make it work. There is always hope in a hopeless situation. Getting a divorce isn't always the answer. Too many times people make that choice out of anger and possibly regret it later. If you want to stand for your marriage, I suggest this site hopeatlast.com. It's said to say, but there are many marriages that end in divorce due to infidelity. But that doesn't always have to be the case. Sorry to hear about all this. I know you're hurting right now. First things first, how would you characterize the marriage before all of this? That will help to formulate a plan going forward. OP responds, when we first started dating everything was great even with her depression. We were making the 5-hour drive 2 times a week between NJ and Via to see each other. Intimacy was frequent. When she moved in, intimacy diminished slightly, which was contributed to coming off the meds. Legitimate side effect of coming off. Kind of picked up every so often. I was okay with it because we seemed happy. We got married. Things were meh afterwards. Occasional spurts of consistent intimacy followed by dry spells. She started working, which seemed to help with her depression since she had something to occupy her time. Our marriage became complacent and routine. We were rarely intimate, which she now blames on an event between us that occurred in 2009. We just kind of coasted through life. Never argued. Rarely went out with friends. Very codependent with each other. She did the majority of the cooking and laundry. We did half on cleaning. I did any handiwork or installation, which wasn't much. I managed finances. Most evenings were spent just sitting on the couch. My job has had some stressful periods where anxiety and depression took over me and I was no responsive. She would have her depressive periods where she just wanted to stare at the walls. For the last 6 months we have just been, she would say that she was happy with our life. She liked that we didn't always have to be doing something. But lately, she has been focusing on how life was before I came in the picture, and how life was when we lived 5 hours apart. I have not notified the wife. I have been witnessing to multiple cases where the wife of the other man will just come to the other man's defense and turn me into a bad guy. They can deal with their own problems. I also am worried about any retaliations from the other man since he knows where I live. I have not notified the families yet because if there is a chance of R, which as of right now seems very slim, I don't want them to resent her if we do make it through this. Their employer is contemplating firing a different individual for spreading rumors about them. So, I don't think that would help any. Since I just found out about it 2 days ago, there isn't much I have been able to do. I told her that if she wants to try to make us better, then she has to stop associating with the OM problem, as they work in a small office and have to communicate every day. Unless he quits or she quits, there is no way to stop them from interacting. Best of luck to you. If she has slept with him, I don't see myself going that route. My last long-term relationship, my GF kissed a guy about 3 years in and then ran off with someone at year 6. So, I'm either cursed or have horrible taste in women. But with my pre-existing trust issues, and the way that my wife has acted so far in this situation, I am not too hopeful. She seems remorseful only in the fact that she knows she did something wrong and that I am hurting. But she hasn't taken any actions towards being open or stopping the affair. I know it has only been 2 days since I found out. But I see myself as a logical, honest, and moral person. If I was in a situation that she did not approve of, I would distance myself from it the instant she expressed her displeasure. The fact that she is not doing that is not good in my world. I'm thinking at this point I should stop saying we so much. It has become a me and her thing. My day has been very dynamic. This morning I tried to go to work, but after 5 minutes I had to leave because it is safety related and I could not focus. Came home very depressed. Had a glimmer of hope when she said she didn't know yet if she was going to a hotel. Then she said she wasn't coming home tonight. Went into denial, anger, depression all at once. Called almost in tears to schedule IC with anyone that could see me tomorrow. Felt better after that. Talked to a few distant friends that aren't going to blah about the situation until they are told they can. That helped too. Then after a bit went back to sad. Decided to go out and drive around. That helped. Came home, listened to Say Something and had my first big breakdown. That helped. Then I came here. Comments. Her suggestion of an open marriage means this. I don't want a divorce, but I am not willing to give up other man either. This is what we call cake eating. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. Both of best worlds. It doesn't necessarily mean she loves him, but it does mean at least he is a drug that she isn't ready to quit. This is why exposure is vital. Cheater addicts won't stop until it starts to hurt them. This is why she tried to hide it and then when caught is trying to make it acceptable. To continue the behavior without consequence. Like a crack addict. They don't acquit their affair partner, thus the lies, and will completely rearrange their ethics to make it work. You would be surprised how many spouses agree to such open arrangements in order to keep their wayward spouse. Glad to hear you set up a boundary there. But at the same time, paying for her hotel room, paying for her gas, food, cell, everything is to a degree enabling her during her time of cheating. If she wants to run off with other man, fine. But you need to cut her off. Then you need to tell other man wife. This often wakes the other man into the damage that he is causing himself. As his wife reels him back in, then this leads your wife really nowhere to go. I know you would prefer to do damage control in order to maintain some honor for the both of you if when she comes back, but that is not guaranteed. She may come back if things go wrong with other man and will grovel and say how sorry they were. But most of the time it was that it didn't work out with other man and they don't want to be on the street like they ought to be. Once they go there, cheating. It is easy to pick up again. She tasted the forbidden fruit, and everything will be flavorless compared to the euphoric high she has been in. And then we'll be saying garbage like how hard it is to let other man goes and wondering why you don't make her feel the way he does. Or the I love you but not in love with you speech. This is the cheater's script. This is why you got to hit them where it hurts. Get their drug-addled brains back on planet Earth with real actions and real consequences. And that starts by having respect for yourself by setting boundaries. You want to play with other man? Then we have nothing to talk about. Read up on the 180 as others said. You are not going to be her emotional friend. Cry on my shoulder because she is so confused about her feeling. No, kick her to the curb. Let her feel the pain of her actions. And when she tried to blame you for it, reject it. It will be the hardest thing you did. But if you don't, she will continue on in her justification that somehow she deserves this, and that it isn't hurting anyone. You only start working on R when she stops deflecting and blame shifting. Is truly accepting that she made the choice and has to accept the consequence. That she is willing to go to MC and IC without spilling out lines of BS. And that she jibes full disclosure about her affair behavior, obviously has stopped cheating and then goes through a long period of complete accountability with her electronics usage. Oh, and she writes a NC letter to other man. There may be a lot of stuff you don't want to hear, and there may surface a lot of things where you may be responsible for her detaching from the relationship. And you need to face it, because she may have lost hope for the marriage years ago and you didn't hear it. In either case, she chose infidelity, and nothing justifies that, no matter how unhappy things get. Don't let other men get away with it either. Tell the dude's wife. End this. OP updates. Just an update. Today is her birthday. I haven't texted or called her at all today. She is at work. She has text and calls throughout the day. I'm not answering or responding. Going to try to 180 this. For me. Went to IC today for the first session. Mainly focused on history of the relationship, past relationship with cheating GF, and a little about what is going on right now. I think it helped. Doctor said I might have major depression since at least my last relationship, probably more like since I was very young. I guess it is nice to know that I more than likely have some sort of disorder and that it is not just that I suck at life. So, going to keep going to IC, for my own well-being. Other men's woman doesn't have a Facebook that I have found. I did find her mother's FB account. I sent this. Hello, I am sorry to bother you. You do not know me? I have some information that I need to share with your daughter. I would like to be able to contact her over the phone or through email. It is information that she will not want to hear, but I think she needs to. If you could please give me some way to contact her, or you can have her contact me either on Facebook or through email at X. I would appreciate it. Well, I failed the 180 for today, but we needed to talk. She says last night they went out to dinner, drank, slept in separate beds. OMW knows about it. They are starting the process of getting a divorce. Apparently, their marriage was already dead with sleeping in separate beds and such. She wants to stay amicable. We agree that we both love each other, but not the kind of love that a marriage needs. We talked about each other's faults and how we both contributed in part to the failed marriage. She takes 100% of the blame for cheating, but says she isn't sorry about it because it got us to where we are. With me seeking therapy, she is wanting to start therapy again. But we have decided that we are not good for each other. I told my parents about the situation. That pissed her off, so she called the OM to try to get him to come get her. She is drunk and I hid all the car keys. But he is saying he probably isn't coming to get her because of his kid. Then my parents sent her FB messages telling her happy birthday because I told them not to hate her until I said it was okay. That pissed her off even more that they would send her a happy birthday message after finding out what happened. She threw her phone and ran upstairs, so I backed up all her SMS and sent it to her email. And then forwarded it to myself. Nothing about sexual relations, but lots of babes, baby, honey, and I love you message types. This isn't going to work. There is no way to fix this now. I have text logs of OM talking about his crazy wife and how he is done with it, but no official filing yet. OMW supposedly told him that he could stay in the apartment until the lease was up, but WW was not allowed over. I told WW that she could stay downstairs until she found somewhere to stay. I am not a vengeful, spiteful, hateful person. I do still care about her well-being, and I know that she is going to struggle. If we are able to split amicably, I am now looking back with a sigh of relief, because when we purchased the townhouse, I only figured my income into the budget, in case we had a kid and she had to be a SAHM. So I should be okay on a month-to-month basis even if my accounts are lower than what I like them to be. Also, when she moves out, I guess I could get a roommate to help defer the mortgage. Update. So, she admitted to sleeping with him. Finally, the OMW and family are going on the warpath with him. He is apparently afraid of them. So, looks like Fantasyland for OM and WS just disappeared. At first, she said she was cutting it off for me, but then later said it was because she was realizing that WS and OM were not going to be able to continue because OM has too much to lose, and OMW has already told him that if it continues then she will be taking him for everything she can get. Is it messed up that I'm not like that? That I'm just rolling with this is the best way I know how. Not really getting outwardly angry, hiding my emotions for the most part. Now she is all about making it work and trying to get through this. Scheduling IC and eventually doing MC, wants to start sleeping in the same bed too. But then jokes about open marriage. The messed up thing I guess is that I do want to give it a shot. But if all it took was some sweet talk and attention for it to happen next time, how can I go through life having that as a constant threat? Do people really change after something like this? How many marriages survive and return to being fulfilling and happy? I just don't know what to do. I don't know if it is just me being clingy and afraid of the unknown, or if I really do want this to work. I'm so numb right now. I still have no idea what is going on in my head. They have had sex 3 times that she admits to. Twice in our house. Once Christmas Eve, the other on New Year's Day while I was at work, and once in the hotel room, which was unprotected. I had to find out that they had sex more than once and that the hotel night was unprotected from the OMW, We talked for about 45 minutes tonight. All the while OM and WS were texting back and forth. I guess I am just in denial so bad from this. It is like my brain ignores everything that has happened. I know what I should do. I know what I need to do. I just can't bring myself to do it. I can't even feel anger right now. So, how much do attorneys normally cost? I want to file, but I feel like I can't abandon her like that because I have cared about her for so long. She will have nowhere to go. She can't afford to support herself in the area that we live in on her income. Does this mean that I'm going to be on the hook for maintenance even though she cheated? Is there a separated time requirement in VIA for adultery? Can you still do a divorce for adultery without going to court? I know she doesn't deserve that kind of respect from me, but I can't help but feel that way. I have no idea. I was a mess last night when I made my last post. I talked to my parents for a long time last night. It helped to have them give me advice knowing that they love me and they loved my wife. They say the same things you'll say. Get out now, you are still young, let her deal with her own mess. If she ends up poor, harms herself, or whatever, it is not my fault. She did this, all of it. I guess it just hits harder when it is someone you know and someone who really knows you. They are offering help financially if it is needed, so that is reassuring. I would prefer it if they didn't have to though. Also talked to a co-worker that went through divorce with his wife. He kind of danced around the issue of R, but in our talk, I thought of a perfect analogy for this situation. A broken glass, glued back together. It's still a broken glass. It will never look the same or be as strong. Your words here have encouraged and helped me see that I am not abandoning her. She checked out at some point and I'm just now getting the message. Denial is a hard thing to recognize. I still want us to split amicably, and because of the requirements in VIA for divorce due to adultery are seemingly silly, I think we will probably have to do no contest. I am going to consult an attorney about that and show him what I have and get an opinion. Maybe she feels guilty enough to testify on her own behalf instead of taking the fifth. Otherwise, I will have to get into a heated discussion that is recorded and try to get her to admit to it, since VIA is a one-party state when it comes to recordings. I have filled out a VIA marital separation agreement. Took off work today because I had made a list of lawyers and was going to schedule appointments and go to the bank. Was going to have lawyer look over MSA and see if he saw any issues with it as far as being held up. I filled it out thinking the best of circumstances, but it can be modified if needed. Woke up and realized it is MLK Day and everything is closed. Went to work to figure out possible leave issues if they arise and talk to HR about any resources available. Going to work tomorrow, but will call some lawyers to set something up ASAP. Any recommendations for Northern VA? So, thanks for smacking me around a bit last night. It was hard to see really how irrational I was being with me feelings. At least this might keep my therapist entertained on Friday. She is trying really hard tonight, trying to make me feel bad and stuff. But in good news, if it is needed, I have a recorded conversation now with her saying she cheated on me in our house. And she was doing him on Christmas Eve. She also admits to the unprotected sex, saying that he didn't finish inside her. And that due to her cycle, that if she is pregnant it couldn't be mine. So, I guess I have that going for me. Talked to OMW again. They have had sex more times than he can remember, and more than 2 times it was at my house. She is getting closer to being done with it, which will benefit her in the long run and may benefit me in the short term. WS and OM are still texting and calling each other on the phone. He says that my wife quit her job. While it is true that she did not go to work today, she hasn't made any mention of it. Is this a tactic of hers to try to get me to stay? Is this something that would be considered in the courts if she quit after I found out about the affair? I am hoping that once she does gain knowledge of all of the evidence I have against her, she will just agree to end it quick and quietly. I have an appointment with an attorney tomorrow for consult. Was going to update last night, but I was feeling really down and I think anything I posted would have been negative and annoying. So, here's the update. I talked to the first attorney, have an appointment with another tomorrow. He said if we can sit down and be civil about it, we can save a lot of money and time. I do want to use an attorney to at least draft the property separation agreement and the final divorce papers because I am not well versed in legalese. As far as WS goes, I went over to a friend on Tuesday night to chill and eat. He and his girlfriend have both dealt with infidelity, so it was good to be around people and be able to discuss things that have happened. It was snowing like crazy up here, so WS was texting and calling trying to find out where I was. I let her know that I was okay and that I would be coming home eventually. Got home around 10 p.m. and she was already asleep. Wednesday I went to work early, went to the lawyer after work, got home around 5:30. She hid in her bedroom downstairs after I got home. Today I let her know what the attorney said about possible costs, and that once she has been out of the house for 6 months, I will mail her the papers to sign and she will not have to come back here to go to court or anything, as long as we remain civil. At this point, if we can do this nice and easy, I am willing to be nice and easy about it. But I cannot stay in this marriage. So, after I informed her of that, she never came back upstairs. She is probably lying in bed, doing my hardest to stay resolute. I go through phases of intense denial, thinking that maybe this was a dream, that maybe she is just playing a trick. But the events have happened, the evidence and admissions are there. I am really messed up. I can get better. I can become a better person. I can find someone that will show me unconditional love. I will be happy again, maybe for the first time. Things have been calm lately. I am still on the path to D. Lawyer is sending papers for me to fill out to start the separate agreement. WS has finally accepted that this is going to happen. She stopped pushing for MC. Stop trying to get me to agree to just being roommates. Stop trying to blame me, or depression, or our marriage. But that is probably only because the OM and OMW are supposedly getting D as well. So, maybe that will make it easier for her to leave, which will make it easier on me. I'm a little drunk. I feel like my life is over. Where do I go from here? She isn't home, no idea where she is. I hate all the thoughts going through my head. I shouldn't care, I know. I should just be happy to have time alone. I have a lawyer on retainer that is working on the property separation agreement. But what happens now? How do I come home to an empty house? She has been my life for the last 5 years. Why does this happen? What could I have done? If there is a God, he is vengeful and evil. I have tried all my life to be a good person. I have some issues, but I did anything to her or anything. All I did was try to love her the best way I knew how to. I guess it wasn't enough. Will it ever be enough for anyone? Maybe I'm just a crappy person and I'm in denial about it. New rule, never get married, never get attached. It only leads to this. Story 2. I have been married for 20 years, 2 adorable children, 13 and 9. Over the past 2 years, I have become resentful and bitter toward my wife about money and other things. About 8 years ago, before my youngest was born, my wife wanted to move to a different expensive neighborhood. The key was to be in a good public school district. We were both working at that time. We had looked at many houses just before my son was born. Some I liked, but she didn't. She wanted this particular house that was more than our budget, and kind of talked me into that everything would be fine, as she would increase her hours to help out. I voiced my concerns that I didn't want to be a slave to a mortgage and want to be able to sleep at night. She was working for her father. Within a couple of months of moving in, her father passed, and so did her job. I was making good money and have increased it since the move. For 7 years, I kept up with the larger mortgage. I had to stop my 401k contributions in order to pay for everything: housing, bills, property tax, groceries, car payments, etc. So, my retirement funds are low, just for the sake of the house payments. My wife didn't get a job until last year, and it is a small part-time from home, which was fine initially. But she seems to have lower and lower amounts every month and doesn't really help. Anytime I want to talk about money or budget, she would roll her eyes or get frustrated and usually ends up in an argument. She told me I should get a new job to make more money. We also have credit card debt because she can't seem to understand a budget. I attempted giving her own spending money, $200 every week to keep on a budget, but within the first day or so, it would be gone. On top of that, I do most things around the house, cooking for the family every night. She says she hates to cook, grocery shopping, mainly the one making lunches for kids, dishes, cleaning, trash, etc. She would say she does the laundry, but once it comes out of the dryer, I can sit for days before it gets folded. So I end up doing that too. Sex life is pretty non-existent, and she expects me to initiate every time, even though she is affectionate outside of the bedroom. I know she loves me a lot, but she seems to ignore the amount of stress on me and doesn't seemingly want to help out. She essentially wants to put her head in the sand and let me take care of it. I brought a lot of this stuff up recently, and she was surprised on how I felt. While some minor things have changed, it's still the same. Even if we fixed everything, I don't know if I can get over my resentment and bitterness that I have that I make around $180K a year and can't enjoy it and do most of the chores. I don't go out or spend anything on myself. I have no life other than trying to keep a roof over my family's head. I don't have anyone to talk to about it. I now keep my head down to avoid arguments and her making me feel like crap because I don't make as much as others in our neighborhood and don't provide her many vacations. When she wants to go away, she wouldn't want to go for anything cheap. Must be 5-star all the way. I don't think that I am scared. It's just that I am just tired and close to giving up. But I can't, as everything will fall apart with the number of balls I juggle. Put it into context. Her father was a doctor who divorced her mother and then would make up for his guilt by paying for everything for his kids. I step in and find myself in the shadow of her father. For years, I have told her if we don't get within a budget, we need to sell the house. Again, it all turns back on me that I need to find a new higher paying job. I should be proud of my job. 10 years ago I was making about $75K. Now at $180K. But it is never enough. I feel trapped in my situation. Even if I divorced, I would be worse off than I am now and the kids would suffer. I feel that I now one of the people that it is cheaper to stick in this marriage than divorcing. I think this all started when I was a hands-on husband and dad. But my wife did less and less, so I picked up the slack. With the young kids, I used to walk through the door at 6 p.m. after a 6 a.m. work start. And she would be at the door and hand me the baby and say, "Okay, your turn," and then leave. So, I would have to do it all, and she would tell me to text her when they are in bed. How ducked up. I took that, until I blew up. I have attempted just not to do so much around the house and just leave it to her. She would get overwhelmed and be about it all and snapping at the kids, so I would help out, and then end up doing all. I am just a guy that tries to help people and ends up the unhappiest. I have thought about divorce, but my daughter has a bad anxiety issue, and would hate to see my decision to divorce affecting my kids. If I divorce, doesn't that mean that I am putting my desires before the needs of my kids who would thrive better with married mom and dad? So many times, I start feeling that I am the one that has messed this up, because I set the expectation of how much I would put into help. And just kept going, until last year. It was odd because it was like a big hammer coming down on me. Last year, she went through a month where she would go to bed around 5 p.m. and leave me literally everything in the evening and wouldn't wake up until 9 a.m. after I did everything in the morning. You sound like me in questioning what have I done wrong. A couple of other things. My wife knows full well how much financial stress I am under. She has the ability to increase her part-time work hours but doesn't. If I saw my wife under stress like that, I would do anything to secure a full-time job to help. I even told the wife that I was thinking about being an Uber driver to try make ends meet. Recently, I have been having symptoms of an anxiety attack. I am doing meditation to help. Sometimes, I would like to throw up my arms, say F this, and tell her to worry about it, and just living the way I want and get more into debt. Thankfully, we have a good amount of money in home equity, 400 to 500K, and set to inherit from my father. 400K, but if we divorce, I am sure most of this would disappear with legal costs, etc. Then I would be living paycheck to paycheck, paying child support, and depressed in a one-bedroom studio. Isn't that a true example of between a rock and a hard place? Aren't I better off waiting until the kids are older and then trying to enjoy the remainder of my life? I asked the wife if we could sell the house. I live in LA, and we could buy a house for cash in many parts of the country, so I can alleviate the stress and burden I am under. I won't tell you how she responded. It wasn't pretty. Yeah, I know, I should grow a pair and put my foot down, but I am always trying to make people happy. I just need someone to make me happy for a change. My comment: always think about yourself first. You need to make yourself happy before you make others happy. Can you guys relate to this divorce story? Did something similar like this happen to you? Comment down below, sub and bell, and make sure to check out the other stories in this channel.